We are going to start this very interesting session entitled Internet and SDGs, Aligning the IGF and ITU's Innovation Agenda. In this workshop, we are going to the aim of this session actually is to facilitate a strategic dialogue among key stakeholders to assess and optimize alignment of internet-based technology with the United Nations Sustainable Digital Goals and the ITU's digital innovation strategy. And the objective actually is to create an environment of collaboration whereby diverse backgrounds will be coming together, industry leaders, civil society organization, academia, to assess these two critical frameworks, and then also to see how the IGF can contribute to it. So in this session, we have two speakers, one here on site and one online. So I'm going to give the floor to my panelists to introduce themselves before we go deep into the matter. Jasmine, you have the floor.
Good morning, everyone. Thank you for making it here at the very, early morning. My name is Jasmine Ko. I'm from Hong Kong. I'm affiliated with HKY, IGF, ISO Hong Kong, and also Asia. Thank you for coming here.
Thank you, Jasmine. Umut, can you please introduce yourself? Umut, can you hear us? You are muted. Can you hear us? As we are trying to fix some technicalities. By the way, my name is Atanas Bahizire. I'm from the DRC, and I'll be your moderator for this session. Umut, are you able to speak now?
Yes, hello everyone. My name, thank you, Atanase, for being the moderator today. And I wasn't able to hear you at the beginning. I wasn't able to speak, but now I can do it. So yeah, my name is Umu Pajaro Velasquez. I'm from the Youth Coalition on Internet Governance. I'm also one of the coordinators of the YULAC IGF. And I work as a AI researchers on ethics and governance. So yeah, today I'm going to speak a little bit how digital cooperation in the case of ITU and the internet governance forum. It's a pleasure to be here.
Thank you so much, Umut. Very interesting. Now we can get deep into the matter. I promise this session will also be interactive at some point too. I'm going to be coming back to the audience for any comments and any question. So straight into the matter, Umut, I have a question for you. How can effective multi-stakeholder governance models be designed to ensure that the internet-enabled innovation align with the SDG principles, promote inclusivity, mitigate potential risk, and unintended consequences?
Okay. Before to answer that, we actually had to remember that there are some core elements of sustainable development in the case of any model that we want to propose. And those some core elements aims to meet the needs of the present without compromising the ability or to have a future to for our own needs. To achieve this, it's crucial to harmonize three core elements that are economic growth, social inclusion, and environmental protection. These three elements are interconnected and crucial well-being of individuals and societies, and internet governance can contribute to these three elements in different ways. And the multi-stakeholder model actually is one of the ways that we can contribute to it. So effective multi-stakeholder governance models, in this case, are essential to ensure The internet enable innovation aligned with these sustainable development goals principles. This model, in this case, in order to comply with we having a design that actually can protect and can be responsible, has to first of all promote inclusivity. That means that all stakeholders, including governments, private sector, civil society, technical experts, academia, should have a voice in internet governance. This inclusivity ensures that diverse perspectives are considered and that the needs of all stakeholders are addressed in the development of these goals. A rights-based approach to internet governance is crucial for ensuring inclusivity and mitigating risks. And this approach of promote inclusivity emphasizes not only in human rights, but also in fundamental freedoms, social justice in the development and governance of the internet in general. So the internet actually can be a tool for the three elements that I said before. The other element that should be taken into consideration in these different multi-stakeholder models is ensure transparency and accountability. The decision-making processes on these different models should be transparent and accountable to all stakeholders, not just to one part, but to all the stakeholders. So the decision that I taking in place are actually based in having all the information that we need for to get to these different goals that we have in the SDG, and to actually have an innovation that actually benefits all, because transparency actually builds trust and legitimacy in the internet governance. The other principle is foster collaboration. Multi-stakeholder governance model should encourage collaboration among stakeholders to address complex challenges and develop innovative solutions. Remember, we try to align the innovative part of the ETUs, the ETU with the multi-stakeholder model of the Internet Governance Forum. So if we want to actually be able to get to that point of having this goal in these different SDGs to be reached by the time that we want it to be reached, we had to have this forced collaboration between different stakeholders. So when we have more voices, actually it's more easier to get more innovative ways to address complex issues and challenges as are these goals. And the last one is mitigate risk. Governance models, as this one that we are proposing, the multi-stakeholder, should proactively identify and mitigate potential risks and unintended consequences of internet-enabled innovations, such as cybersecurity threats, privacy violation, spread misinformation, and another stuff that we actually discuss in general in forums like this one that we're having right now, the Internet Governance Forum. The different problems that we are discussing as we are a multi-stakeholder with different approaches from different perspectives is actually one of the things that help us to mitigate risk and actually create a pathway for innovation for innovation that actually benefits all. That would be my answer to this first question. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Umut. Thank you especially for emphasizing on inclusivity and how we can mitigate risk. It's very important that stakeholders are transparent and accountable in decisions they take. Very insightful comments, actually. So I'm going to go to Jasmine. So, Jasmine, from a technical community perspective, what infrastructure or regulatory frameworks, regulatory gaps actually hinder the alignment of the ITU's innovation agenda and the sustainable development goals?
Thank you very much for the questions. Actually, ITU's innovation agenda have been putting effort. They have their own digital innovation ecosystem portfolios, which they empower their members to, unlock their digital potential. But you also have to notice that ITU is more like a multilateral, structure itself. So the gap that there is from a technical community member that our community that see is there's the level of stakeholder engagement. It's a little bit behind, or there's a gap between the reality and our expectation. The way we're saying that it's because we find that it's there's some inadequate involvement of key stakeholders, including us, the technical community, and also the civic society in some process when it comes to design of implementation of the ITU Innovation Initiative. So in a way, this could lead to the solution that may not fully address the diverse needs and priorities that outline in the SDGs. And in a wider beyond ITU, if you notice, if some of you follow the GDC, the Global Digital Compact, and also the Wishes Plus 20 process, there was like during the long period of time when the GDC keep there's a different version, keep changing, and then like discussing, consultation, a lot of things happening. And there was a moment that the technical community, it's not being well recognized. So there's actually, at some point, there's a disappearance of technical community in a paper, in something. So actually you could refer to blog that is published by a statement by APNIC and also ICANN to address the issue and the gap. And therefore, seeing the potential risk and gaps in here in terms of stakeholder engagement, lacking enough participation from technical community, there has been a TCCM form, which is Technical Community Coalition for multi-stakeholder. And there was a launch yesterday in the IGF village, and as part of the coalition, we talk about what we have observed as potential risks, and therefore, what kind of process have we been involved in the Wishes Paternity and also GDC input when there's a consultation open, in a way that we want to be a collective voice of our members of technical community who were not able or lack the bandwidth to reflect on how this kind of global agenda and process is affecting them. So feel free to go into the TCCM website, or to learn more why is the establishment of these coalitions and different things. And second, it's about the interoperability challenges, because between different technologies and systems, there are some issues relevant that have been created. In a way that it's difficult to integrate the innovation solution, and it might hinder some seamless exchange of data and information critical that to achieve the SDG targets. There was also a session earlier about AI interoperability. You see the perspective from both China and UK, how the other how the diverse perspective have been presented from academia and also from government, civil society view on about the potential infrastructure or regulatory gaps between the ITU and SDG agenda. So it's something that I am trying to explore, and think also example that I try to give that I think is relevant when we talk about the gaps.
Very insightful, Jasmine. Very important. You just mentioned the low participation or low involvement of different stakeholders in processes that are chaired by multilateral organizations such as the ITU, and you also highlighted the GDC in the different reviews. We have seen consultation, but at some point it was closed door. So it's very important and very crucial actually to engage stakeholders. And one of the other things that was very interesting, you say there is a way the technical community can come together, collaborate, and actually advance the agenda. Very, very important. So I wanted to follow up on this. As you're talking about stakeholders' engagement in various agendas and various development projects, I was wondering, what is the place of the youth? How can young leaders actually and youth stakeholders be considered to contribute to achieving this SDG agenda, since actually it's for the youth, because they are representing the future, the present, the future leaders. They are representing, they want actually to benefit mainly from this perspective. So how can we include them and consider them in these processes? Back to you, Jasmine.
Actually, before jumping into this question directly to youth, let me just elaborate a little bit on the role of technical community, because not just because I'm from there, but I just want to share, mine and also the other stakeholder perspective on technical community. What have technical community contribute to the agenda, and also in a way that we could help youth as well. So it's part of the ITU agenda on innovation. It's about innovation for development. So in a way that we have initiated a research and advocacy project on something called the Eco Internet Index, EII. So we emphasize on do more and waste less. So that means we do more when there's off-peak traffic, so that we could, we have to acknowledge that there is a carbon footprint for whatever internet activity and the devices that we're using here. And also how, the way we behave actually have a consequence and impacts in different way. Just to at least start with the awareness, and you could always have a thought and reflection, and also to adjust your own behavior. And we emphasize about the replacement of carbon-heavy trade by digital economy, and also on energy that could empower the network, because we are the registry, right? So we're part of the internet infrastructure ecosystem. Therefore, we think that sustainability and meaningful connection is critical, in a way that also digital inclusion should come hand in hand, especially when connecting those off-grid who doesn't have connectivity. And second thing about the role, and it's also relevant to youth because it's about capacity building and knowledge sharing. Technical community come together to facilitate capacity building programs to empower individuals and organizations with the skills that need to leverage technology for sustainable development. Example, APIGA, the Asia Pacific Internet Governance Academy. So it's led by ICANN, which we have been part of the academy, running the program, being a mentor, and being the trainer for several years. And also NetMission.Asia is it's a very first youth network, I would say, from the internet governance space, focusing on the region of Asia Pacific. So it's our own initiative. I'm actually an alumni of Mission.Asia as well. So this is how I actually get into learning what's happening in the internet governance world, because it was not part of the, it was not a major agenda of any university course agenda. So there's actually could be a gap that haven't been plugged into university teaching curriculum. And this is how I got into learning this. And
moving on now to youth, what youth can do, right? As a youth, and actually not just youth, actually to all of you, it is more about when we think about how we could contribute effectively, right? Effectiveness is actually equal to being productive, being smart, and smart in a way that what is your goal in smart, like with the SMART principle, like how is it specific, personalized, achievable in your own capacity and in your own interest of area. It have to be very, for me, I feel like it's have to be very tailor-made for yourself, starting from knowing yourself well. I talk about your interest area, your capacity, your network. Think about you have many resources actually. You just have to map your resources out, identify the area of influence of your own, and set priority. In my case, I believe it out with my case. I love nature. I'm curious to learn more about innovations and the internet world. Therefore, I care about if have to come to SDG. It's 13, 9, 17. You know, about the industry innovation and about climate action. So how do these two things intersect together? It's coming to my research and advocacy on eco-internet. And in my daily life, I also recycle my own e-waste and other waste as a person. So I'm trying to bring it down to a very personal level so that you would not just think about, oh, it's a very off ground, you know, high level goals, but actually when you put it, trying to put it down to the ground, you have things to do as a youth and post-youth, you know.
Thank you so much, Jasmine, for mentioning this. You just mentioned something very important for us to include the left behind stakeholders such as the youth, its capacity building and knowledge sharing. And some of these technologies, you find out that they are developed in spaces that are too technical and the decision makers don't have enough technical understanding to actually take the good decision for the future of these technologies. So it's very important that we should build capacity of different stakeholders. Before I move back to you, my panelists, I'm going to give the floor to the audience. If at this point you have any question or comments to give on this perspective. Any question, the audience, or just a comment?
Good morning, I'm Peter Jozjas, the founder of the Digital Child Rights Foundation. It's about innovation and the agenda of the SDGs. I'm an NGO and I was wondering how could a NGO, all the NGOs in the world, stimulate the innovation, especially the involvement of youth?
Thank you. I have a comment on this one, but I'm going to start by you, Umut. Or Umut, do you have a comment on this? How can NGOs, you that you are involved, I mean, you are working in the civil space with NGOs and civil organization. Any comment on this?
Well, actually, I had to explain my case because my case is like in the case in Latin America, we actually focus in including you in order to be innovative, especially investing more in creating capacity building, digital skills, training for the youth in general, because we most of the NGO here in Latin America actually believe that not only is important to bring access sorry, to the technologies to the young people in different places, or especially in some marginal areas, but also it's really important to give them the proper training to use those technologies in order to change their life and have a really good impact on not only with them but also with the community, and try to innovate and create solutions for the communities. So for us, it's important in Latin America, especially the NGOs, to create capacity, to create capacity in digital skills. So we had a really investment on that. Also we promote a lot digital literacy, and we try to get along the private sector in order to incentivize employers to have young people involved in some part in the in the digital training skill or some part of the workforce. So it's pretty much that we do here in Latin America, because that's a specific case of my region, that the region that I know more, and I really work more for NGOs from this region. So yeah, that's what I can say.
Umut, yes, please.
Thank you, Peter, for your questions. So when it comes to NGO perspective, so actually you're not in the right place, because now we have many stakeholders. You might find your colleagues who's from also our NGO, maybe from your region or not from your region, but I think it's a good platform here. You could start to see if any common agenda or prioritized area that you could potentially collaborate on. Second thing could be, this is a global one, right? So I'm not sure where you're based in, but perhaps there's a regional or national IGF you could join, because usually in national and regional level, it's more, I would say, more region specific. And it's a different kind of it may be a different kind of engagement level that you can have there. And in our case, in Asia Pacific Regional IGF, as part of the secretariat team, we open up a chance for everyone, including the NGOs, that they could submit their session proposal, so that it's a very community-driven agenda of the regional IGF, that you could have your own proposal in the IGF, and then have a potential collaboration with it. And as I echo to what Umut say, is also could be collaboration with other stakeholder groups. So I encourage you to continue your work, and thank you very much for engaging with us.
Thank you. Before I give you back the floor, I was having just one comment from an African perspective. What has happened in Africa is that the NGO and civil society organization tend not to work directly with the government, not to engage directly. And as you can imagine, the ITU, the UN, and all these multilateral processes, it's our government that actually represent our voices or have the last word to say. So what can be the approach here? I've seen it in some countries, is that we don't always have to be, even if we have different point of view or different ways of seeing things from the NGO and the government, but it's important to advance our local agenda, to work together and engage actually the government. Some of the human perspective the NGO have, since they are on ground, they are working closer to the community. They used to have an expertise that the government doesn't have, but then because sometimes ideas are not matching, the engagement is not sufficient. So I believe what I can encourage to the NGOs actually is to work with the government. Yeah, you can have diverging perspective today, but tomorrow for a great common, work together and advance this agenda, so that whenever they go to this ITU and other multilateral processes, they can carry your perspective. Or in some point, I've seen in my country, at some point, they've got the government representation at the UN, but it's no, the government delegation is not only full of government or ministry experts, but in the delegation they have a stakeholder from the technical community, one from the civil society, and there, it will be insightful and very interesting. Yeah.
Yes, thank you for your answers. I live in the Netherlands and in Europe, and we are a member of the ITU Partner to Connect Digital Coalition and also a member of the advisory group Civic Society and Academia of the D4D Hub in Europe, the Global Gateway. And yes, it's about digital skills, but what I mean is that here we are talking, and in the end, a country must accelerate. And there is a gap, I believe, between the NGOs and also the private sector who wants to help concrete. And there is a gap, I believe. So how can we close the gap? Yeah, so it's not only the country, but children, young people on the school wanted to be supported. And we want to help, but it must be done by the local community. But how do we connect to each other? It's not only in the way by having talks with the government. We need NGOs also on the ground. And I think that's going too slow.
Yeah, thank you so much. Very good comment. Actually, definitely we need NGO on the ground. And maybe recalling from what Jasmine was saying, everybody should play his role in ensuring, okay, I'm on the good track. I'm contributing to fastening this processing that's going very slow. So I believe, yeah, from your personal perspective or your organization perspective, yeah, please try to push exactly and work on your personal capacity to advance this agenda. But very good comments. Thank you so much. We have a question. Okay. One comment from Jasmine.
Yeah, just one sentence from me. Of course, there are gaps, and as for your case, it must be specific enough that maybe other country and other region could not give you the exact example because you are the right person to know about your community. So when you ask about how, so I challenge you back, how would you try to understand the problems and the gaps? And if there is no platform or scenario that NGOs and other potential partners can come together, maybe consider create one, a scenario, occasion that people could brainstorm and get their buy-in to try to connect and really draw the synergy. So that's last one for me. But I also see the lady in the back have maybe comment on question, please.
Hello, everyone. I appreciate all speakers. I'm just have two comments. The first one is an advice for your great work to connect the intellectual property rights to innovation, because any innovator, he needs to protect his rights. Because I'm an expert of intellectual property, I said this advice for all innovators. By the way, you didn't know me. I'm Dr. Nermeen Salim. I'm Secretary General of Creators Union of Arab. It's an NGO. It's a member in United Nations Economic and Social Council. And we are working in the NGO since 23 years, and I agree with my colleague about the not supporting the NGO. I have attended a lot of conferences, and all the community all over the world, even its governmental or non-governmental organization, they support and encourage NGO to be collaborate in their works, but in the real ground, it's not effective. But since we have a member in United Nations, it gave us an opportunity to share with all coalitions in the United Nations, and we are encourage all entities, if they want to contact with us and make a cooperation about anything we are concerning on innovation and intellectual property and training and so on. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much for the comment. And definitely, what is good about the discussion is that collaboration can unfold during these discussions. Thank you so much. We have also a question online. If you can unmute yourself for the comment, for the question online, then after we have Umut speaking. The question online.
Yes, hello, can you hear me?
Yes, we can. Please.
Okay, okay. Good morning. My name is Matilda Moses Mashauri. I am a Pan-African Youth Ambassador in Internet Governance and a proud advocate in the inclusion in shaping for the digital future of Africa. Well, I have two questions. One is how can a youth-led initiative and the young innovators be meaningfully included in the multi-stakeholder processes that are discussed in this workshop? In order to ensure that the internet-based and technology are effectively contribute to the sustainable development goals, and also particularly in addressing peace, economic empowerment, and the environmental sustainability. And also, how can we as the youth leaders play a pivotal role in driving the innovative solutions for a better and more inclusive future? Because we are trying so much at the youth also to also engage, but then we do not know some of the ways. That is what I'm trying to know, like how we are the youth leaders, because we do play a pivotal role in driving the innovation that we need for the inclusive future. But then how can we do that? And how can we also lead to the development goals and particularly in the addressing the peace and economic empowerment for the environmental sustainability? Thank you very much.
Thank you for the question. Any other question online so we take both together? Okay. If there is no question, I see there is. Okay, there is no question for this at this time. So, Umut, can you comment on this question?
Okay. Well, actually, that is a question that I'm thinking really a lot this year, especially with the GDC processes and how we actually can be included in all this process, because we actually with that process I start to realize how we can actually be influential somehow and can actually be how is our reach in all this in all this conversation, in all these processes, and how actually we can collaborate to this, and how we are how what is our role in all of this. And one of the things that I conclude at the end of all of that, it was that actually at the beginning we're going to feel that we are lost. That pretty much as seen is the question, or that's where your question is coming, is that we are at the beginning, we are feeling lost about what we should do. But actually the fear of actually not knowing at the beginning what we going to do is actually the drive for the answer that we want to, and the answer that we want to, in the way that we actually after that we start to identify all the gaps that in these different processes that that we having, and how we as young people actually can provide the solution to those gaps. So when we find that thing, we actually start to know exactly what is our place in all of this, and how actually we going to be innovative in all these processes. Because if we don't actually start to identify exactly that what is the inconsistency, for example, or the thing that we don't like, or the sadly the special aspect that is particularly to a region, or particular to or different populations, or is related to a specific SGD, we don't going to make innovative ideas or solution for these different processes. So that's the way that as I see it. So I don't know if on the floor is want to complement on something.
Thank you, Umut. I think, yeah, the youth it's a very crucial stakeholder. And thank you so much, actually, for responding and giving this perspective. We are going to proceed. I have a couple of questions for you too before we conclude. So we have seen a lot of discussion in the Summit of the Future last September in New York about the place of the youth in this process. And at this particular time, it was special because in the Declaration for the Future, they included a specific annex just for the youth. But then we were saying it's all about discussions and provisions. But my question is to you, what are the policies and investment strategies that are essential actually to address the skills gap and build necessary human capacity to create, deploy, and manage internet technologies for the sustainable development goal, especially when it comes to the youth as the future of the world, the youth as the future leaders. So, what are the strategies and investment? What are the policy and investment strategies we need to put in place for this to be effective? Not only just papers or a decision, but on the ground, we want to see the change and how this can happen. So I'm going to start by Umut, then Jasmine.
Well, the question is related to exactly policies and how to address the issue in with the part of the summit of the future and everything else. Well, when I read the part of the part of the future, I had to say that one of the things that got to my attention is that you is actually mentioned as a part of the future solutions, and we actually doing more than that. One of the things that I consider that should be addressed and in that aspect in general is a couple of things that were already mentioned here, like not only promote digital skill, promote the being the or make accountable or clarify data ownership, promote digital literacy, incentivize the participation of not only the governments in alliance with the private sector and NGOs, and also another thing that should be addressed in all these cases is include the youth in the decision-making processes and having like promote communities or internet hosts, for example, that can provide access to different technology and digital skill for training you in diversity in underserved areas. So yeah, there is a lot of ways that we can be included in this. That will be all for myself.
Thank you so much, Umut. So I'm going to give back to Jasmine. What are the investment and policy strategies we need to put in place to achieve this innovation technology for the sustainable development goals?
Okay, before I go directly to the answer, I just want to clarify when you talk about investment and policy, is there a certain target group you're talking about who will action and implement on these? Or by youth, or by government, or by who?
Basically, actually, that's what I was expecting from you. Who is there to invest and to put the investment in place so that we can achieve actually the innovation we want to see in order to align the technologies with the SDGs. So the youth are the future, the present, the future, and they'll be the beneficiaries actually of this investment and these policies that are harmonized, but then who to invest and at which level they should invest and in which way.
Wow, then it is actually a very high level question. Actually, wow, it's not an easy question to answer, because when it comes to, if you highlight that youth is the beneficiary, they cannot just be beneficiary themselves. They have to be the one who also put effort, right? Because I believe, in net mission, it's always about nothing for youth is not by youth. I mean, everything for youth has to be by youth, have to be with youth. So that means that when it comes to strategy setting and also agenda setting, the way that youth can put into actually a lot of effort, because the thing is, youth definitely, if you need to compare the life experience and also network, it's not as much as people who have been working in the field for many decades, many years. So like myself. So the things that we need to put a lot of effort is to really understand what is our prioritized area and agenda, and to be smart enough to know what kind of stakeholder in the stakeholder map that we have, what kind of collaboration and people and scope that we want to focus on, because we have limited time, we have limited resources. But then what can we do in a reasonable scope and then achievable outcome in a certain time frame? It's always a problem about goal setting, and this is why it is called strategic, because it involves prioritization. It involves a collective process of youth, perhaps, and perhaps we could also have other, like, it's good to have other stakeholder groups together. What I like to do, the design thinking and also systems thinking approach, that we map out within the ecosystem, we map out each problem like a spider map, and then we map out the flow. How does it, what is the impact and what is the reason? And then we make the arrow, and then we see what is the relationship between different issues. And then we try to use different tools to understand how we could move on.
Thank you so much, Jasmine. Very important you mentioned it's prioritization in strategy development is very important. I have a comment on this, but I'm going to first give the floor to the audience. Do you have anyone has an idea on what are the strategies, policy and investment strategies we need to put in place in order to achieve actually innovation and technology for the sustainable development goals? Any comments in the room? Okay, great. I see. When it comes to investment, when it comes to all these actions, many people tend to get back. We have seen the same thing in the Global Digital Compact recently. When it comes to investing or putting resources into place, you see the different stakeholders are pushing for voluntary actions, voluntary investment, and how will it be sustainable when it's voluntary? That's a big question for all of us. But yes, there are solutions we have seen. The ITU has initiated a certain initiative they call Partner to Connect, a very important coalition whereby different stakeholders pledge a certain amount of money or a certain resource to actually contribute to the efforts to partner together to connect the unconnected, to connect the next billion. And this is some of the effective solutions to this. In the Partner to Connect coalition, last year they got up to $30 billion of pledge from different stakeholders, some from the private sector, some from the government, some from some non-governmental organizations. And these efforts are actually, we are seeing the impact. The ITU and UNESCO have initiated an initiative they call the Giga Project that aim to connect every single school on the internet. Some of you from the global north may not understand why is it important to connect every single school, but in some part of the world, like where we are from, some schools don't have access to internet. So you imagine in today's world, how can you learn without the internet? You don't have access to all these resources that are available on the internet. So such kind of investment and partnership strategies are very important, and we have seen on the ground very big impact on the schools that are connected to the internet, because people are actually able to, leverage the different resources, do their seek for jobs when they finish, do their projects, document also their work they are doing, so that the wider world can view it. So this is very important, and I think we should encourage initiatives like this. I'm going to give the floor to my panelists for the parting remarks, because we have less than 10 minutes now. Okay, we have a comment here, then yeah, we get back to you.
I'm just want to emphasize on before any implementing of any innovation solution or anything, you should make awareness, a very good awareness about any project to be successful. And my advice, my personal advice from Corona COVID-19, when I teach for the students in the level on university, they opened the online and they didn't hear me. So we should make a very good awareness for any initiative before we can implement it to get the successful of this initiative. Thank you.
And actually to, get to test the technologies there is. So I was saying it's very important actually document and to test the technologies before we can implement them, and some of these tests are done by projects that are pilot projects that are tend to start from a certain level, certain country and to get input, and now implement the project wider. But it's very important. The COVID actually surprised us, and we have seen many challenges, but also a very fast innovation environment. Many technologies developed very fast during COVID, as also challenges were there. So I think we should always seek balance. So I wanted to ask if there is a comment or question online. If you have a question online or a comment, please have the floor. We just have 2 minutes for this, so you can be fast.
Okay, I'm back. Okay, one last question. So they have talked about the internet-based technology. So given the critical role of these internet-based technologies in achieving the SDGs, now what specific mechanism can be put in place to ensure the equitable access and capacity building for the capacity building for the youth, and particularly in the underserved regions, so they can actively participate in and benefit from the digital innovation for the sustainable development. Since I'm engaged to working with the youth in this marginalized community in the rural areas, so I have seen their challenges. I also faced the same challenges when I went there. We got to give this capacity building. So what mechanism exactly that we can put into place for the equitable access for this capacity building, especially for the youth, particularly in underserved regions, and especially in brackets, females, so they can actively participate in and benefit from these digital innovations, for their sustainable development for now and for the coming future, things like that. So thank you very much.
Yeah, thank you, Matilda. Good question. How can actually the strategies being put in place to include the women and marginalized communities or rural area to benefit from the all to leverage from all the benefits the digital technology gives us. I'm going to give the floor to Umut, then Jasmine to comment on this. Umut, you have the floor.
Well, actually, this question has to do a lot with my final remarks. So, part of the solution of that is actually believe in this the multifaceted approach that involves effective multi-stakeholder governance and creating digital skills and responsible policies and expand the internet access. So these spaces, for example, like the IGF or the E2, actually are crucial to foster this kind of alignment and ensuring that internet contribute to more equitable future for everyone. Because we're not only having conversation here for different people between different stakeholders, we also are people that are working on the ground, most of us, from different aspects. Some are in technical communities, some are in rural areas, so others are, for example, myself, I work with gender diverse people and Black people in my country. So yeah, so we are working with the community and we're trying to find solutions, not only bringing our expertise into these spaces, but also articulating our experience with this. So it's not only believe that the multi-stakeholder process, the multi-stakeholder is just conversation, but also is actions and solutions. Yeah.
Thank you. Thank you for responding to this. And yeah, Jasmine, any comment or your parting remark?
Actually, not much. I just want to be brief because it's writing on Umu's input about the multi-stakeholder models slash mechanism. And one way with that we've been actually a good example that already been doing and can be strengthened. It's the youth IGF that there's national and also regional one that we've been into running for. So actually, the thing is how we could ensure like improve the equitable access of youth is to I think it's about the outreach, about to understand what could be the people and marginalized communities that haven't been part of this yet and really put effort on, such as in Asia Pacific, we try to put more effort to link up with the Pacific Islands. So this is a very concrete example. So think about in your region and place, who are the marginalized communities and then try to get them on board. That's it. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much. Very wonderful discussion. And as we are concluding this session, I wanted to thank my panelists for the very insightful comments and also the audience for the great participation. And what I can say is last comment, it's very important if you want to align the multilateral initiatives, that is the ITU's digital development program, with the spirit of the multi-stakeholder forums or multi-stakeholder initiatives at the IGF. It's important to build capacity and involve different parties. So I believe the multi-stakeholder engagement forums and discussion must actually document the decisions that will be taken in multilateral spaces. So with that, I say thank you so much and have a wonderful have a wonderful set of the evening of the day. So we are going to have a group photo. Sorry, technicians, can you please put Omot on the screen? Maybe we have a you ping also Matilda if she's there.